orthopedic this week, cardiologist next week.
Yeah.
It's always something.
Calls the meeting to order. This is Town of Zebulon Joint Public Hearing Agenda for Board of Commissioners and the Planning Board, March 14, 2022. Public hearing.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, and the planning board. My name is Aaron Chalker. I'm with the Zebulon Planning Department. Tonight we're going to be looking at a proposed rezoning case. The title of this case is East Gannon Avenue at Old US 264. I'll give you a little bit of background on the project. The applicant and property owner is Bun Farms Incorporated. Property address is 0 Old US 264 Highway. More specifically, it's located at the intersection of East Gannon Avenue and Old US 264. The site is 9.8 acres in size. Currently, the zoning is residential suburban, R2. The applicant is proposing a zoning of heavy commercial. The future land use designation from the comprehensive plan of the town is general commercial. And we'd like to note that this rezoning does not propose any conditions. Therefore, it's a general rezoning that will, all standards of the Unified Development Ordinance will apply to the property. Public hearing sign was posted on 2/21. Public hearing notices were mailed to property owners on 2/22. An ad was published in the Wake Weekly on 3/3 and 3/10. And notification was posted to the town website. So this slide here shows the aerial image of the property, which is outlined in red, shown on the screen. The property is bound by a railroad at the rear of the property to the south, and then on the front of the property on the north side, it's bound by 2 state highways. It's also approximately 1/4 mile from US 264 to the east. And across East Gannon Avenue is the Walmart Shopping Center, which also includes some out parcels with uses such as restaurants, retail, and service. Also across East Gannon Avenue is the Murphy Express gas station. And adjacent to the subject property to the west is the Campbell Oil Company. This slide here shows the town's official zoning map at a focus view on the subject property. As stated previously, the property currently is zoned R2, which is shown here. The adjacent west property is zoned heavy industrial, and the adjacent east property is also zoned heavy industrial. Across East Gannon Avenue, you can see the red coloration here. That is heavy commercial zoning, which includes the entirety of the Walmart shopping center. So now we'll take a look at some site pictures taken by staff members of the property in the surrounding area. The image shows the subject property on the right, which is vacant and is wooded. And the street here is Old US 264, which leads back to 5 County Stadium. This is another angle of the subject property from across the street of Old US 264. Staff posted the public hearing sign at the corner of East Gannon Avenue and Old US 264, shown here. This image is looking from the subject property back towards the center of town. You can see the Murphy Express gas station across East Gannon Avenue, as well as the Campbell Oil Company, which is adjacent to the subject property. This image is also looking from the subject property across East Gannon Avenue back towards the Walmart shopping center. You can see Walmart in the rear of the image, and then also FastMed Urgent Care, T-Mobile, as well as NCI Associates directly across East Gannon Avenue. So now we want to get into some examples of uses that are permitted within the proposed heavy commercial district. This list is not a complete list, but it's just to give you an idea of what types of uses, the character of the uses that are permitted in the district. So we have religious institutions, urgent care, automotive repair and service, convenience stores with gasoline sales as well as without gasoline sales, hotel or motel, and retail. And as noted, all other uses permitted in this district can be found in attachment 8 of your packet. So now we're going to take a look at the town's comprehensive land use plan. On this slide, you'll see the future land use and character map, which is located within that comprehensive plan. And it shows the subject property being designated as a future use of general commercial. The general commercial land use designation is described as being along primary roadways within town with high visibility and accessibility to residents. Primary land use types of this designation include commercial retail, office, and service uses. We also want to highlight the town's transportation plan. And the map shown here is the town transportation plan for 2045. The subject property is located here at the intersection of the yellow line, which is Old US 264, and the blue line, which is East Gannon Avenue. The yellow line designates Old US 264 as a 4-lane divided roadway. And the blue line designates East Gannon Avenue as a 2-lane divided roadway. Upon development of the property, the developer will be responsible for constructing the road improvements from the center line to the property line along the frontage of this property. These improvements will be at no cost to the town at the time of development. Now we're going to look at a fiscal analysis of the property tax potentially collected by the town in a couple different scenarios. So currently the property is zoned as residential, and if we forecast the amount of lots that could be yielded on the property, it's an estimate of 10 lots. And this would translate to an approximate property value of $2 million. And with the property tax rate for the town at 55 cents per $100 in valuation, that would translate to $11,000 in property tax revenue per year if the property were to be developed residentially. On the other hand, if the property is developed commercially, as is proposed with the rezoning, we would estimate that there would be a range of 40 to 80,000 square feet of building space, because there's several different scenarios that could play out with the different use types that are allowed, but that's our general estimation. This would be approximately $6 million to $12 million in property value, which would generate $33,000 to $66,000 in property tax revenue per year to the town. I'd also like to note that commercial properties have potential for sales tax revenue as well. So just to give you a sense of how the different zonings can affect property tax if the property were to be developed. Moving on to staff recommendation. Staff recommends board's consideration of public comments. And staff recommends approval of the East Gannon Avenue at Old US 264 rezoning upon the consistency with the Town of Zebulon comprehensive land use plan, and that the heavy commercial district is compatible with the future land use designation of general commercial and all other applicable plans. Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, so when we talk about the improvements that any developer would have to do to that frontage space, is there a possibility that we're going to be accepting fee in lieu in this situation?
We do not accept fee in lieu for road improvements.
Okay, so they were actually going to be doing those road improvements themselves at the time that they build out?
Correct. It'll be part of the site plan review with Technical Review Committee, which is TRC.
And that'll include sidewalks if applicable?
Correct. Sidewalks, curb and gutter, asphalt for lane widening. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You stated that there's no cost initially. When will the cost for the town, there be a cost associated with the town? When will that kick into play during the development phase, please?
So when the right-of-way is dedicated to the town, that's when the town will become responsible for maintaining the street, because it will be dedicated as a public street to the town.
Okay.
But the developers themselves will actually be constructing those improvements. So that's what I mean by at the time of the development. But after, say 5 years down the road, if there's an issue with the road, then it will be the responsibility of the town.
And far as water and sewage for that area, how would that?
There is water and sewer close by. I don't have the map in this packet, but all the commercial properties that are along East Gannon Avenue are served by water and sewer.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the planning board?
So if they are to get this rezoning approved, are there any stipulations on what we can and cannot allow in that space based on the rezoning classification? I guess my concern is that its proximity to the highway, it has a high potential to turn into more automotive repair shops, more auto parts stores, things like that, which as a town, I know we have a lot of, and we don't need really any more of those. So how can we make sure that we put some kind of stipulations on that?
With this application, at this time, we cannot do any conditions based on the fact that it's a general rezoning and not a conditional rezoning. So any use that is permitted in the heavy commercial district would be allowed.
So with it being a general rezoning, it's either an up or down vote, right? It's not necessarily, but if we were to say, no, we want you to come back with a conditional rezoning, then that's the point that when you could say, you can't put this there, you can put this there.
Correct.
Okay.
So technically, we could have a flea market, a pawn shop, or a vape shop.
Yeah.
Yes, it fits on the list, yes.
Okay, so let's think about that.
And just to clarify, the entrance to that property could be on either road, correct?
Yes, I believe that NCDOT would be involved with the driveway permit, especially off of 97. Both of the roads are state roads. So NCDOT would be involved with that process at the time of the plan. And it's with such little frontage on 97, that may be a challenge for them to have a entrance and exit there, but that's getting into really like the site plan process.
And do we have any plans yet as far as a additional traffic light there, or that would stay in place?
There's no plans at this time, no.
Okay.
Does the applicant have an intent in mind?
The applicant is here tonight. I'd probably let them answer that. I don't really have too much insight on that. If you'd like to ask them the question.
One major concern I have is that traffic impact there. They weren't held accountable to do a traffic impact analysis, correct? The developer, the people that are looking to rezone, were not held accountable to do a traffic impact analysis, correct?
Right, they're not, at this stage, they're not required to do it. It would depend on what uses are proposed there, because the use will dictate the number of the trip generation that would require a TIA to be submitted.
Because we do have Sydney Creek being developed over there by the Mudcat Stadium, so that's going to impact that road a lot with that. So.
No doubt, yes, sir.
Any other questions from either board? You said that the developers here, did they have anything they wanted to say?
Yeah, my name is Brent Purdom. I'm with Bowman, North Carolina. Mic on, can you hear? Let me hold it. All right, is this better?
You might want to pick it up and just hold it.
All right, technology, right? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Brent Purdom. I'm with Bowman, North Carolina. We're the civil engineers that are helping Bun Farm with this project, who's the developer. So what we're trying to do is we just need to get basically the property rezoned. And the purpose is to try to get the commitments of different businesses that want to come. We've got several businesses that are interested, but we can't get commitments until we get the property rezoned. It's just basically has to do with the timing of the development. But we have interest from restaurants, retail stores, things like that. But again, that's really the whole purpose of this general rezoning, is to just get us to the next step where we can start getting those tenants in place. And then other than that, if you guys have any other questions, I'd be glad to try to answer the best I can. But we don't know exactly what we're doing yet at this time.
So are you thinking it could potentially become a multi-unit commercial development?
It depends on what we can end up getting. If it could be more than one, yes. But we don't know at this point until we get it rezoned.
Does that property support a multi-unit commercial development?
It could, yes, sir. Yes, sir, it could.
Any more questions for the developer?
All Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions, comments concerning this issue? Well, we will turn this over to Planning Board for their input.
Mr. Mayor, maybe check and see if anybody else wants to speak on the, oh, did you just do that?
Okay. Anyone else want to speak?
Just to make sure there's no one from the public wanting to come up.
Hearing none? Okay, we will refer this matter to the Planning Board for their input, and once we get theirs, we will meet as a board to decide.
And if you'll just, for the record, sir, you can just close the public hearing on that one since we've heard all the evidence, testimony. You say close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're closing the public hearing. We need a motion.
I move we close the public hearing and adjourn.
A second. Second. All in favor? Close.